Good afternoon, class. This afternoon, we are going to cover Chapter 5. And Chapter 5 is a brief introduction to the foreign exchange market. Here's an overview. Let's begin by remembering that money represents purchasing power. The market for foreign exchange is the largest financial market in the world by virtually any standard. The foreign exchange market encompasses the conversion of purchasing power from one currency into another, bank deposits of foreign currency, the extension of credit denominated in a foreign currency, foreign trade financing, trading in foreign currency options and futures contracts, and currency swaps. Let's look at the function and structure of the foreign exchange market. The function of the foreign exchange market is to assist clients in the conduct of international commerce. The foreign exchange market is therefore a service that commercial banks provide to their customers. Spot and forward foreign exchange markets are over-the-counter markets, meaning trading does not take place in a central location or central marketplace where buyers and sellers congregate. Instead, it is a network of computer lines, telephones, electronic trading platforms, and so on and so on. There are three major market segments. The Australasia segment consists of Sydney, Tokyo, Hong Kong, Singapore, and Bahrain. The Europe segment consists of Zurich, Frankfurt, Paris, Brussels, Amsterdam, and London. And finally, we have the North America segment, which is comprised of New York, Montreal, Toronto, Chicago, San Francisco, and Los Angeles. Who are really the main players in the foreign exchange market? The foreign exchange market is a two-tier market. The first tier consists of what we call the interbank or wholesale market. Here you're looking at approximately 100 to 200 banks worldwide that stand ready to make a market in foreign exchange. Making a market means that these banks stand ready to buy and or sell foreign exchange. Non-bank dealers account for about 40% of the foreign exchange market. There are foreign exchange brokers who match buy and sell orders but do not carry inventory, and they are foreign exchange specialists. Now, the second tier of the market is what we call the client or retail market. Market participants include international banks, their customers, non-bank dealers, foreign exchange brokers, and central banks. Here we're looking at the shares of reported global foreign exchange turnover. You can see the United Kingdom is by far the most important market, followed by the United States and Hong Kong and Singapore. Turnover is net of local interdealer double counting. Here we're looking at the average electronic foreign exchange conversations per hour, Monday through Friday in 2001. You see that a lot of conversations occurs here at 9 o'clock. Okay, we're looking at Greenwich Mean Time. And at that time, Asian markets are closed. About 25,000 conversations per hour. That is a lot. Now, the interbank market is made up of a network of correspondent banking relationships with large commercial banks maintaining demand deposit accounts with one another. The correspondent bank account network facilitates the efficient functioning of the foreign exchange market. Now, how do banks communicate? International commercial banks communicate with one another using one of these three systems here. SWIFT, which is an acronym that stands for Society for Worldwide Interbank Financial Telecommunications. ch5, which is Clearinghouse Interbank Payments System. And then ECO, which is an acronym for Exchange Clearing House Limited. And this was the first global clearinghouse for settling interbank foreign exchange transactions. The foreign exchange market can be divided into subgroups: the spot market, the forward market. Let's begin here with the spot market. The spot market involves almost immediate purchase or sale of foreign exchange. One can buy, which means taking a long position, or sell, which means taking a short position in foreign exchange. The cash settlement is usually made in 2 business days after the transaction for the trades between the US dollar and a non-North American currency. So the window that any trader is given to settle is 2 business days. How are currency quoted in this market? Well, spot rate currency quotations can be stated in direct or indirect terms. Direct quotations refer to the price of 1 unit of a foreign currency in terms of the domestic currency. So if I'm in Canada and I'm wondering how much would it cost me to purchase 1 euro, well, that is a direct quotation for the euro. In this example, it will cost me 1.55 Canadian dollars per euro. Indirect quotation is the price of 1 domestic currency in terms of a foreign currency. So now if the question is, well, if I'm in possession of the euro and I'm interested in purchasing Canadian dollars, how much would 1 Canadian dollar cost me? In this case, 1 Canadian dollar will cost me 65 euros. Here we're looking at the average daily foreign exchange turnover by instrument and by a counterparty. Again, turnover is net of local and cross-border inter-dealer double counting. So we're looking at the spot here with reporting dealers, 593, with other financial institutions, 1236. Turnover is in billions of US dollars, with non-financial customers, $159 billion. And you can do the math, you can aggregate these numbers to get 1987. Just as aggregating these 3 numbers here will give you 999. And the total of these 3 numbers here is 6188. So this is a huge market, by the way. This is a big market. Big market. And here are your exchange rates. Exchange rates given both in direct or indirect terms, or American or European terms. Let's focus, for example, on the US dollar, Canadian dollar exchange rate. You see this point, 7493. It means if you want to buy 1 Canadian dollar, this is how much US dollars you would need, about 75 cents. 75 cents in the US will buy you 1 Canadian dollar. On the other hand, if you're interested in purchasing the US dollar and you are in possession of Canadian dollars, this is how much it will cost you. You will need 1.3345 Canadian dollars per US dollar. Most currencies are quoted in European terms, meaning the US dollar is priced in terms of the foreign currency. And this is an indirect quote from the US perspective. For example, question is, if you own Japanese yen and you want to purchase US dollars, we're looking at this from the US standpoint, how much would it cost you? Well, $1 US will cost you 109 Japanese yen. American terms are a direct quote from the US perspective. That is, they show how much US currency it takes to purchase 1 unit of foreign currency. Say, for example, again, I own American dollars and I'm interested in purchasing euros. How much will 1 euro cost me? In this case, 1 euro will cost me 1.22 US dollars. Cross exchange rate is an exchange rate between a currency pair where neither currency is the US dollar. For example, the euro-yen exchange rate is a cross exchange rate because the dollar is not involved. The bid-ask spread is a source of compensation for dealers in this market. The interbank foreign exchange traders buy currency for their inventories at the bid price, and they sell from their inventories at the higher offer or ask price. The average of the bid and ask rates is called the mid rate. The bid-ask spread, as I mentioned earlier, allows the traders to earn a profit. They have to make a living. They are not a charity organization. Spot foreign exchange trading. In the interbank market, the standard size trade is about $10 million. So this is a wholesale market. The spot quotations are good for only a few seconds, like nanoseconds, before being withdrawn. Bid-ask quotes are normally 4 decimal places. For example, 1.3153. 1.3 is known as the bid quote big figure and assumed to be known by all traders, and it doesn't tend to vary that much. The last 2 digits, however, collectively are known as the small figure, and those last 2 digits, in this case 0.53, tend to vary a lot. Cross-rate trading desk. Currency against currency trade is when a customer wants to trade out of a non-dollar currency for another non-dollar currency. For example, a customer wants to trade out of British pounds and into Swiss francs. Currency against currency is typically handled by the bank selling British pounds for US dollars and then selling US dollars for Swiss francs. It is handled at the cross-rate desk of the bank. Now here's one example of a cross exchange rate, okay, bid and ask spread. So let's assume, as we did before, that the dollar per pound bid ask prices are as shown here. The pound dollar bid ask prices are as shown here. Let's assume that the dollar euro bid ask prices are as shown here, and the euro dollar bid ask prices are again shown here. Okay. These bid and ask prices, in conjunction with equation 5.12, imply this exchange rate here between the euro and the British pound. If you take the reciprocal, then you have the exchange rate between the euro and the, you have the exchange rate, I'm sorry, between the pound and the euro being equal to 0.8540. Analogously, equation 5.13 suggests these numbers here, and the reciprocal gives 0.8534. That is the euro pound bid ask prices are as shown here, and the pound euro bid ask prices are as shown here. Note though in passing that the cross rate bid ask spreads are much larger than the American or European bid ask spreads. Okay. Exhibit 5.9 on the next slide is a more detailed presentation of cross-rate foreign exchange transactions. That's 5.9. Okay. We're given bank quotations here for the British pounds and the euros, both in American terms and in European terms. So if you work the math as shown here, you get the same numbers that we got in the prior slide. You may want to spend some time on this to confirm that that is indeed the case. Okay. Again, from parts A and B, we see the currency against currency bid ask spread for British pounds is that much, which is exactly the same thing that we found in the earlier slide. Okay, the example 5.2. Again, you may want to confirm that. Okay. My job here is to share the salient features of each chapter with you. Part of your job is to go over the problems in the book, to make sure that you are comfortable with this material. That's very important. Triangular arbitrage, what is it? Triangular arbitrage is the process of trading out of the US dollar into a second currency, then trading it for a third currency, which in turn is traded for US dollars. The purpose is to earn an arbitrage or profit through trading from the second to the third currency when the direct cross exchange rate between the two is not in alignment with the implied cross exchange rate. Arbitrage is a zero risk, zero investment strategy from which a profit is guaranteed. Let's look at the spot foreign exchange market microstructure. Market microstructure refers to the basic mechanics of how a marketplace operates or works. Studies have shown that the bid-ask spreads in the spot foreign exchange market increased with foreign exchange rate volatility and decreased with dealer competition. Studies have also shown that $1 billion of net dollar purchases increased the Dutch mark price of the dollar by 0.5%. Obviously, this study was conducted before the euro was in place. That was when Germany had its own currency known as the Dutch mark. Studies also showed that the bid-ask spreads have a prolonged U shape and are narrowest when London and New York are open, while trading volume and exchange rate volatility are both M-shaped with peaks at London and the New York open. The forward market is part of the foreign exchange market. We have just examined the spot market. Now we turn our attention to the forward market. The forward market involves contracting today for the future purchase or sale of foreign exchange. So you negotiate today, but you don't deliver or take possession until at some point in the future. No money changes hands upon entering the forward contract today. A forward contract may be used to hedge foreign exchange exposure or to speculate in foreign exchange markets. The forward price is usually higher, that is at a premium, or lower, that is at a discount, than the spot price. Okay? Seldom would you find a situation in which the forward price and the spot price are the same. In all likelihood, they are going to be different, with the forward price either higher or lower than the spot price. Bank quotes for maturities of 1, 3, 6, 9, and 12 months are readily available for a large number of currencies. The forward market involves contracting today for the future purchase or sale of foreign exchange at some point in the future, as I mentioned earlier. In terms of notation, FNI/K is the notation used to refer to the price of one unit of currency K. So K here is a specific currency. In terms of currency J for delivery in N months. F is the notation used for a forward exchange rate. Like spot quotes, forward quotes are either direct or indirect, with one being the reciprocal of the other, very similar to the spot market in that sense. Say, for example, here we're looking at American term Swiss franc forward quotations. Okay? Notice that this is the spot rate, that is the exchange rate that would prevail if you were buying or selling the Swiss franc now. This Swiss francs per dollars. Oh, no, this dollar per Swiss franc. So if you wanted to buy 1 Swiss franc, you have to come up with this much in dollars. Now, this is the spot rate. And these are forward rates. This is the 1 month forward rate, the 3 month forward rate, the 6 month forward rate. Okay. Then if you take the reciprocals, you get these numbers here. You take the reciprocal, you get 0.9982, which is the same number here. So if you take the reciprocal of this number, 1.0047, you get 0.9953. You take the reciprocal of this one, 1.0193, you get 0.9811. Okay, and these are American quotes, and these are European quotes. Forward premium. It is common to express the premium or discount of a forward rate as an annualized percentage deviation from the spot rate. The forward premium or discount is useful for comparing against the interest rate differential between two countries. The forward premium or discount can be calculated using either American or European term quotations. It makes no difference. Okay, these are your forward exchange rates. Okay, using the definition earlier, right? This is the forward rate for N maturity, where N can be 1 month, 2, 3, 6, currency J against currency K. And that's how you calculate it. Non-deliverable forward contracts. Very interesting topic, by the way, and I want you to really pay attention to this topic here. It's very, very interesting. Due to government instituted capital controls, the currencies of some emerging markets, the countries are not freely traded. See, it is not possible to obtain these currencies offshore in the spot market to settle a forward position. For many of these currencies, though, trading in non-deliverable forward contracts exists. A non-deliverable forward contract, unlike a deliverable forward contract, is settled in cash at the difference between the spot exchange rate on the maturity date of the contract and the non-deliverable forward contract rate times the notional amount of the contract. So if the notional amount of the contract is 1 million, you take this difference and then you multiply it by $1 million. Swap transactions. Forward trades can be classified as either outright or swap transactions. From the bank's standpoint, an outright forward transaction is an uncovered speculative position in a currency, even though it might be part of a currency hedge to the bank customer on the other side of the transaction. Swap transactions provide a means for the bank to mitigate its currency exposure in the forward market. Later on, in one of our future chapters, we will be discussing swap transactions. Okay. Finally, we touch on exchange-traded currency funds. An exchange-traded fund, or ETF, is a portfolio of financial assets in which shares representing fractional ownership of the fund trade on an organized exchange. Exchange-traded funds allow small investors the opportunity to invest in portfolios of financial assets that they would find difficult to construct individually. Assets invested in the global ETF industry reached a new record of $5.4 trillion at the end of March 2019. Again, my dear friends, these are the salient or the most important features of this chapter, of chapter 5. So I'm going to leave you with this. Please take advantage of the solutions manual, which is in Blackboard. You have to find time to sit down and go over the problems at the end of these chapters. That's very important. That's how you get to really master these concepts. With that being said, I'm going to ask you what I always ask you to do. Please be safe and stay out of harm's way. Take care.